cold front that's moving through late Tuesday, early Wednesday. We're down to 68, 69, low 70s.
Doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include
touchdown, you betcha! 71-yard touchdown reception.
Cobbers looking at a second down play. Quick turn and a key block thrown at the line of scrimmage.
And the North Dakota State Dynasty stampedes forward their 10th FCS championship.
This is the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
For some college football teams, the season is already underway, but here in the Valley, these final days mean final preparations for opening day. It's late August, and hope can be found just about everywhere in our region. The Bison, Dragons, Cobbers, Fighting Hawks, and Gophers are ready to kick off a new season, some as soon as tomorrow night. But before they take the airwaves, we do right here with the Dr. Pepper College Football Season Preview Special, Countdown to Kickoff. Hi again, everybody. Steve Hallstrom here with you, host for tonight's show. Welcome to the 2025 college football seasons. Dreams are born, legends are made this time of year, and we can't wait to take a look at all the teams here locally and get you excited for the upcoming seasons. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll start our coverage by taking a look at the 2025 NDSU Bison, defending FCS national champions. Jeff Kolpak, beat writer for the Forum, will join us. Then James and Jace from our sports team here will be visiting with Kevin Marshall from FCS Nation, and they'll preview the greater FCS picture, who might challenge the Bison for a national title, conference title this upcoming season. Then James and Jace will give you a rundown on what to expect for the MSUM football team here in 2025. We'll then visit with Terry Horan of the Concordia Cobbers at 7:25 here tonight, and then finish up with a little talk about the UND Fighting Hawks and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So it should be a really fun night. Well, NDSU, the kings of FCS football, I think we can fairly say that, under the second-year leadership of head coach Tim Polasek. They just won another national championship, their 10th FCS title, and expectations will again be sky high. Number one in the preseason polls after winning a thrilling 35-32 victory over Montana State last year in Frisco. That included a national semifinal win over South Dakota State. 18 national titles overall, and the expectations are always the same on the north side of Fargo. So to talk about the NDSU football season and some of the storylines here, we are glad to welcome in from the Forum, Jeff Kolpak, a good friend of mine. He and I spent many a day traveling to NDSU football games. We are both working that beat, and he's always good to give me a few minutes when I call and say, let's talk a little Bison, Jeffrey. And here he is. Jeff, thank you. You told me that if you weren't getting your hair cut, you'd be available, and it looks like you've gotten the job done. You look nice and handsome there tonight, so appreciate you joining us here on the show.
Well, gee, thanks, Steve. Now we're doing this sort of video thing. Is that a Natchitoches meat pie you got by the studio there?
That Natchitoches meat pie is still moving on its own, I think. If you've
2004, right?
Yeah, if you've not been, it's one of these regional delicacies that you get down in the South. And I ordered one, and it came in a pool of grease. It looked like it was swimming. And I said, if I'm going to do work this afternoon, I'm not going to eat that because it might taste really good, but I don't know that my stomach could handle it. Well, Jeff, the NDSU fans, they're going to have a stomach for a new quarterback this season. Cam Miller is now taking his shots in the pros. I saw he get released by the Raiders the other day, but still with a really good chance of someone picking him up and giving him a shot. I guess if we're going to talk about this year's Bison football team, that's a good place to start. What are we expecting at the quarterback position this year?
Yeah, well, first of all, Cam just signed with the practice squad. So
he did. Okay, good. With Oakland, or who did he end up with?
The Raiders. Yep, same team. So
very good.
But his successor, that's a great question because Cole Payton's been around a while. I mean, he's been here since 2020. Got recruited in 2020. Been here since 21. Waiting his time, at an age where a lot of guys and a lot of quarterbacks would bail, he stuck around. And of course, we asked that the first day of practice, why'd you stick around? And he goes, well, I think I can do this in 1 year. I mean, essentially, Carson Wentz went to the NFL in 1.5 years. And I'm not going to say that Cole Payton's the next coming of Carson Wentz, but he'll get the chance. I mean, that's all he wanted. He'll get the chance to throw the rock around, and that he has a great receivers. He has the best set of receivers in the FCS. I think that's pretty common knowledge right now. And we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, you talk about the passing game for NDSU. Cole Payton is as Bob Babbage, former Bison coach, would say, he was a big rascal. That was or Craig Bowl. That was a Craig Bowlism. He's a big rascal. He's a big dude. You don't want to see him coming at you. I think the question for a lot of us is, how is he going to be when he needs to deliver the ball in throwing situations? What have you seen so far in fall camp?
Well, Bob Badger would say, ooh, he's fast.
Yeah.
And he is fast.
Yes.
But I know I've seen a confident guy, Steve. I've seen a guy who's in command of the offense. I see a guy who's a captain. I see a guy who acts a part, looks a part. But, Tim Paulsick this week, he said, I want to see him do it, and he's got to make plays. That's bottom line. So, the head coach doesn't mince words. He puts it out there. Doesn't say, well, I hope he does this. He's got to perform when the bolts are firing, when they're on the line. And so I guess until we see it, we see it.
Yeah. On the offensive side of the ball, of course, there's always a couple offensive linemen, it seems like, that move on to either the next level or to go into the working world. And certainly Gray Zabel is a name that everybody's been used to having there to sort of anchor things down on the offensive line for NDSU. And he's now in the NFL, and they apparently love the guy at Tennessee, where he's lining up and taking snaps right now. So there's a lot of question marks on the Bison offensive line every year because it's such an important part of what they do. They want to run the ball. We know that. And especially with a new quarterback, they're going to really be relying on that offensive line to settle things down and put things in good positions for Cole Payton. So what have you seen so far from the O-line? Because there's a little bit of change over there.
Yeah, there is 3 new starters. Starts at center with Trent Fraley. I think he's an All-American type guy. I thought he was really good last year. And Griffin Empey, who was the guard, is coming back, and he was really good. He could switch to tackle, as we learned this week. I think it kind of comes down to Bo Johnson, the new guy at left tackle. He's the next coming, I guess you'd say. You look at all the tackles since the title years, Billy Turner, Joe Haig, Gray Zabel, Cody Mauk, Dylan Radence. And again, I guess I go the same thing with Cole Payton. We haven't seen it yet out of Bo Johnson, but coaches have a lot of praise for him. He looks the part. He's 6'5", 305, something like that. I think he has a mentality for it. But if the Citadel, if they're running around end and making Cole Payton run for his life, and maybe he isn't ready, but I think he is. I think you got Nate Tascad, who is going to redshirt freshman from Rolette, going to start at left guard. They've had high hopes since they recruited him. And now, and right tackle is going to be Josh Mankin. He started on defense. Again, he's a guy that looks the part, but until we see it, we'll see how this line gels. I think they'll be fine. It is NDSU after all, Steve. They're O-line U, it seems like.
They are, yeah. LSU says we're wide receiver U. NDSU is O-line U. There's no question about it. And they've had some quarterbacks that have moved on as well. But when you think NDSU, you do think of that great tradition at the offensive line. No question about that. You talked about Bryce Lance earlier. And, Jeff, the world is so different since I left covering sports here in this town because of what's happening with NIL money. Bryce Lance had an opportunity to make hundreds of thousands of dollars by going somewhere else, and he said, no, I'm going to stay here and continue to play at NDSU, and he leads that receiving corps for the Bison, and man, what a blessing that must be for Tim Polasek and now the new quarterback, Cole Payton, to know that you've got that guy that you can throw the ball up to who probably could have had many offers, probably did have many offers to go to the next level at the FBS level, but he's back in green and gold.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, why did he stay? I think maybe he looked at Gray Zabel, who had opportunities and stayed, and was a first-round pick. I think he looked at some guys who moved on in earlier years and maybe didn't come to fruition like they thought it would. Yeah, he's getting some money here. Certainly not what he was offered at the FBS level. But I also think, he's got great parents too. I mean, he's a solid kid from a solid family. I think that had something to do with it. And, maybe big brother Trey kind of laid it out too for him. Like, I think you're going to get drafted. Do you want to be one of 7 guys at Texas, or do you want to be the guy in FCS? So I think that's kind of what it boiled down to, is a variety of factors. And, the family did a great job. They kept everything out of his wheelhouse as far as all the negotiations until after the season. I thought that was pretty big in the playoff run when you look back at it.
Yeah, well, no question about it. I've had the chance to meet the Lances, and they are very impressive people, and you can tell why they have kids that grew up to not just be really good athletes, but kids who are really squared away. And much respect to that family for sure. You talked about the NDSU receiving corps, though. It's not just Bryce Lance, because you've always got a couple other guys at NDSU who can catch the ball. You've always got a good tight end or two there. Tell us about some of the names that Bison fans can expect to see grabbing the ball from Cole Payton this year.
Yeah, I think we forget they have Rajon Nelson back for his 6th year, who's really good and made big plays in the playoffs.
Huge in the postseason last year, yes.
Yeah. But then they have Chris Harris, who's 6'3", Mackay Collins, who's 6'4", who both, I think, came in their own last year. Yeah, these guys are big. I mean, Bryce is almost 6'4", Harris 6'3", Mackay 6'4". I mean, don't throw it low. Well, these guys can go up and get it. And then, I just think it's a really deep receiving corps. Let's not forget about Jackson Williams from Omaha. I think he's going to be part of the situation. Isaiah St. Romain from Williston made the top 2 depth chart, although he's a little unproven, but I think he's obviously got some ability. Tight end's a little question mark because of these guys that haven't done it. I mean, look out for Reese Kessler himself. I think he's got the size and the speed. I think he could be a guy who might surprise some people. He's only a redshirt freshman. Yeah,
a young guy, and obviously turning heads there. There's in that tight end position group, a young man named Finn Diggins out of Perham, a big contributor in the Heart of Lakes, and he's now a senior getting his opportunity, is stuck with the program there instead of gone elsewhere. 6'4", 246, not bad size, a real good athlete there as well, so there's another name definitely to watch. And then at fullback, Truman Weremeyer, the Davies product. He's a big kid, 6'2", 248. He's got a little mean streak to him. Nice kid, but on the football field, he's not. And you got to have a little bit of that when you're playing fullback for NDSU. And he'll be leading the way for another EDC standout, Barika Penu. Tell us what the Bison get with that fullback-halfback combo.
Yeah, well, Truman, another line of those fullbacks. They're just so tough and so. I don't want to say mean-spirited, but you're right. You got to have a little mean streak if you're going to block and bury somebody in the turf every play. Barika Penu, this is his chance to be the bell cow.
Yes.
And if he could get the ball, Tim said 20 times. I'm not going to believe that in non-conference. I don't think that's going to happen. But maybe as the season progresses and the way they see things fit. Look out for DJ Scott. He's a transfer from Kennesaw State. He's been really impressive from what I hear and what I've seen. Miles Mitchell, true freshman from Chicago, came here last semester, graduated early from high school. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. I don't think running back. They lost Marty Brown to Miami. But, Marty wasn't that breakaway guy either. I still think they're looking for that guy that could take it to the house. I haven't seen that in a couple of years.
Okay. Well, look, maybe there's somebody that we haven't seen before. You never know. Injuries are a part of the game, no question about that. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. One of my favorite players, Jackson Dudenheffer, is back, a senior from Mandan. And he's kind of the key, the big anchor on the interior of that line. Maybe not the biggest defensive tackle you've ever seen, but, boy, that guy just plays big, Jeff, when he gets an opportunity, and he'll line up along the front four with Toby Aneen, Keenan Wilson, and Kelton McCaslin as a starting four. What do you like from the defensive line?
Yeah, Jackson, maybe not be tall at 6'2", but he's 285, and I think he's a little more explosive. I've been told that from the coaching staff this year. He looks different. He's just a little more powerful and moving a little better. Obviously poised to have a big year. I think Kobe Anene is going to be a guy. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the pass rushing guy. He's got to be the Greg Menard, Derek Tuska in that line, and Kyle Manuel. Those type of guys that really turn a game around. He looks the part. He's 6'4", 260 or so. Just strong, and so I think they'll be fine on the line. It's the hardest position to recruit in the FCS. They lost Cody Heisman, which I think was their biggest FBS departure. Marty Brown was really good, and he was dependable on the inside stuff and getting that extra yard. I thought Cody Heisman would have been set up for a Buck Buchanan type of year, but he moved on. Look out for Elijah Wayne. He's a true freshman from Omaha, and he doesn't look like a true freshman. Not many guys come in at his age and look like that and act like that. And I just think he's been really good in practice. He's going to play a lot.
In the defensive backfield, you got some names that Bison fans have gotten to know. There is a little experience back there. At the corners, Jalen Duffy and is on one side, and then at safeties you got Darius Gibbons and Jalen Crumby. I think maybe some growing pains, Jeff, last year, but a couple of guys that are now back as a sophomore and a junior, Crumby the sophomore and Gibbons the junior, that probably learned a few lessons, and there's no substitute for experience.
No, put Ryan Jones in that too as a safety. He was really good in the playoffs too. You're right. A year ago at this time they were young, except for Sam Young, who was the walk-on fifth-year safety. I thought at Colorado the safety were absolutely totally lost. But great coaching job by Devin Kleiman.
Yes, it was.
A couple of positions. Yep. And they kind of grew together. Devin, he's a young coach and his first full-time assistant position coach. I thought they grew up together. Now they're a veteran team. Veteran unit.
Yep. Let's take a look at the schedule. It starts with a trip to the Citadel this weekend, which would be a fun experience. It's not a a place we've seen NDSU really go to in past years, but they get the opener there. And then you look ahead to the schedule for NDSU. Obviously, you've got the traditional powers that they're going to be taking the field against every week this year. The non-conference games are Citadel, Tennessee State, Southeast Missouri State before they get into it. They're picked preseason number 1. Any reason to think that the Bison don't have a great shot to go back to Frisco?
No, absolutely not. I think it starts with NDSU and Montana State and then go from there. Until I see South Dakota State, which lost a ton, got gutted from the Washington State fiasco, until I see them play, I'm not sure what to think of them. South Dakota lost a lot of guys. Their O-line, some defensive studs. Those 4 are getting the most. It's those 4 in the Missouri Valley and a few Big Sky teams. There, ladies and gentlemen, is your FCS.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff, there's something in the back of my mind that's talking about Nashville this year. And what am I thinking of here? Is the championship in Nashville this year?
It is.
Yeah. So it's not a Frisco year. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for setting that up there. I know you for your A job, when you're not doing the college football preseason special with Steve here, you do predictions. So I'll ask you, are you comfortable making a prediction on this year's Bison team? I know you do week by week, but wonder if I can get a prediction from you on how the Bison might fare this year.
Yeah. I'm going to go 10-2, 11-1.
Okay.
I am. I just don't see some of these Valley teams getting better right away. There's 4 new coaches in the Valley.
Yeah.
And there's no FBS on the schedule. They play at South Dakota State, at North Dakota. Those always can be tough. They can slip up somewhere. But as I sit here on August 27th, I just don't see anything less than that.
All right. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time. Always great to catch up with you, my man. Thanks for talking football with me here on this Wednesday night.
You bet, Steve. Have a good season. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot. Take care. You too, Jeff. Well, when we come back, our sports guys, James and Jace, step out for a wider view of the FCS with the one and only Kevin Marshall from FCS Nation, who beside the Bison might be in the race for a Missouri Valley or an FCS title. That's next when the Dr. Pepper college football season preview continues.
Well, dude, that's California. They're their own country now.
News, weather, sports, and more. The region's voice is WDAY Radio, AM 970 and FM 93.1.
Fansville, Special Teams Unit.
How's it look?
We got multiple punctures.
Evidence suggests a crime of passion. It appears we have ourselves a flag planting. No!
Those tech fans make me sick.
We got a composite.
Is that a duck with ice cold Dr. Pepper?
That's no duck. That's a platypus. And a mascot always returns to the scene of an upset. Get that fan!
Stinks!
College football, it's a Pepper thing.
Hornbachers has been providing fresh, quality food for our Fargo, West Fargo, and Moorhead families to grow up on since 1951. For generations now, Hornbachers' local neighborhood grocery stores continue to be built and serve our community with knowledgeable staff, consistently fresh quality food, low pricing, and generous contributions back to various local nonprofits and charities. Set the table for your family with fresh, quality food from your neighborhood Hornbachers grocery store and find out about getting groceries delivered to your home at hornbachers.com.
I wonder who the first person in North Dakota was who said, "I think I'd like a window in my sod house."
I wonder what they used to cover the window opening when our North Dakota winds came up.
I wonder what the neighbors thought when they saw that first window.
No matter how old your house is, no matter what size your windows are, and no matter what colors you need to match, we can help you. Hi, I'm Mackenzie.
And I'm Andrew, the manager of the Window and Door Store in Fargo. Someday, I'll add up all the windows and doors we've replaced in North Dakota.
Good idea, Andrew. I think I'll add up all the homes we've replaced windows and doors in.
If you've been thinking about new windows or doors, even if you just want one replaced, either stop in at our showroom at 10th Street North, downtown Fargo, or give us a call.
We'll come to your home when it works for you and show you our amazing new windows and doors.
No obligation estimates.
No minimum number of windows you need to replace.
No bugging you if the time's not right. Better windows, better doors.
The Window and Door Store in Fargo.
Ever feel like another number at the doctor's office?
Oh, all the time. 5-minute visits, rushed conversations, and surprise bills. It's exhausting.
Well, that's why I switched to Resurgent Health in Fargo. No insurance hassles, no packed schedules, just real personalized care.
Wait, so you actually get time with your doctor?
Yeah, longer visits, direct access by phone or text, and a flat $125 monthly fee. No surprises, just great care.
That's a game changer. Where do I sign up?
Visit resurgenthealth.net or call 701-599-3950 today.
This is the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
Welcome back to the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show. It's Big Game James McCarty with Jace Denman, and we're joined by FCS Nation host Kevin Marshall to talk about the Missouri Valley Football Conference and more specifically North Dakota State football as we enter the 2025 season. Another season of FCS football is back, man. Are you like a kid in a candy shop at this point? I'm seeing that you guys got a couple more stations as well this season. How have things been going in FCS Nation land?
James and Jace, we are rolling, y'all. We are ready to go. Yes, added Las Vegas just a couple days ago, which is a huge get for us. And this season is going to be the best one in FCS in a while. Everybody feels like they have a shot this year. Whether that's true, whether it's not, whether we're going to end up with the same 4 to 5 teams vying for the national championship remains to be seen. But people feel like they have an opportunity this year that maybe they said they had the last few years with the quarterback situation and the offensive line and defensive line situations in the Dakota and Montana schools. But people outside of that region feel like this could be their year.
When you look at specifically the Valley at this point, I know Jason and I, we spend time, every week over at NDSU on the north side of Fargo, kind of putzing around in there talking with players and coaches, and then we get the other Dakota schools from afar. But you approach this season, a new quarterback for North Dakota State, a new quarterback for South Dakota State, a new head coach at South Dakota, and a new head coach at North Dakota. I mean, we know the Bison just won the national championship. We know a bulk of the team is back, but is it still, from your eyes at FCS Nation, the Valley through I-29 and the Dakota schools, or do you think that maybe, just maybe, that squad over at Illinois State has something to say about it this year?
I think that Brock Spack does have something to say about it this year, and I also think Nick Hill and Southern Illinois are going to as well. DJ Williams coming back for them is such a huge story, right? Last year when he got hurt, they were rolling along pretty good clip, and then he gets hurt, and then the backup gets hurt, and the next thing you know, they're pulling a grad assistant off the sideline with a whistle around his neck and putting him in a helmet and pads and throwing him out there just to have somebody play quarterback. And if he had gotten hurt, I have it on good authority that the next call they were going to make was to Labanowitz, and trust me, nobody in the world wanted to see that anymore. All right? So I think Southern Illinois is a team you have to keep your eye on. If they can keep the quarterback healthy, that's going to be a squad that is going to be right there all season, pushing those teams, the Jackrabbits and the Bison and the Yotes. And I think that, Jace, you can't count out your University of South Dakota team. Now, it was kind of weird timing that Aiden Bauman announces he's going to come back, not going to enter the portal. Then they go through spring ball, and then the entire offensive line leaves for money to some FBS schools. But they feel like they have been able, through that transfer portal and guys that they had, to solidify that group. And we're going to find out pretty quickly whether that's true. But Aiden has such a quick release and gets the ball out of there so quickly. I think the first 3 games, you may see them go to a little bit more quick game stuff to try to help that offensive line. And look, the running back situation is going to be good for that team. I think the Valley's 4 or 5 teams deep this year. And, maybe last year that wasn't the case.
You've got 3 teams in the Dakotas that all have new head coaches taking over for programs now. So you got the 3 new head coaches. You got Cole as the starting quarterback there. You're going to have a new starting quarterback in South Dakota State as well. So do you think that with the transfer portal, just out of my homerism, that South Dakota can keep up with the South Dakota State and North Dakota State that are replacing long-term starting quarterbacks and obviously contend for that Missouri Valley title?
Yes, they did it last year, and I don't see any reason why that should change. But I think that, hidden losses, and maybe they're not so hidden in the town where y'all cover the teams, but the guys who left on the staff for North Dakota State, I think are just huge, huge losses. Quarterbacks coach, defensive line coach, what have been some of the strengths for the Bison the last decade? Well, those two groups, right? Plus the Rams up front. So I think maybe those are bigger losses than people think, plus the secondary guys for the Bison from the portal. But the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. So we'll see if guys who, and this goes for the entire subdivision, I mean, you're going to have this group of fellas who maybe have kind of a mercenary streak to them a little bit, and can they buy into the team concept? That used to be a question we asked ourselves every year about 5 or 6, maybe 10 teams, right? Can this team who has 30 FBS transfers, can they buy into the team concept, and can the head coach bring them all together? Well, that was a question we asked about 10 teams in the past every year. Well, now we're kind of asking that about just about everybody. So it may be a situation this year and in years going forward where the guy who can do the best job of that, of bringing kids together who have maybe kind of a little bit of a mercenary streak to them, getting them to buy into the team concept, into the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey so much, are going to be the guys that are going to be very successful versus maybe the guys who are super strong X's and O's wise. Because you can find the X's and O's guys as assistants. But the fella who's leading the program, can he get the new fellas to buy in, and can he get them to play for him and for that school? And if the answer to that is yes, we might see a reshuffling a little bit of what happens in FCS football.
The next question I have for you is about a couple of games, but they are most definitely not soon at this point. Recent days, ESPN events, they announced a pair of future Vegas Kickoff Classic games for Labor Day weekend. 2027, you have North Dakota State battling Montana State, and then in 2029, South Dakota State gets Montana, the Grizz. From just a perspective of getting these guys out into a primetime area in Vegas, getting them into an early season game on national television, what do you think that means for the subdivision, if anything at all, Kevin?
Well, I think that's going to mean one thing in particular, and the scene in The Hangover where they're driving to Vegas, I mean, that's going to be Labanowitz driving and me with the ginger beard leaning out the window. That's what I think about that. So
just pick us up at the airport.
I can't wait for Stone's face tattoo.
There you go. It's a huge deal, right? And maybe the FBS folks will not get jealous of it and horn in on that weekend. I mean, don't y'all remember when this week 0 was supposed to be the FCS kickoff, and it was a standalone game?
Yeah.
But then our friends in the group of 5 or the group of 4 or whatever they're calling themselves these days said, look, we can't be having these FCS programs with better facilities than us and more fans than us get a whole weekend to showcase their subdivision. We got to do something to keep our phony baloney jobs here. We're FBS. And then they started scheduling games on what was supposed to be standalone FCS kickoff weekend, and now we have a lot of games in this week 0. But the 12 games, I think that's a huge deal, and I'm more interested to find out what leagues that have more than 9 teams are going to go to 9-game schedules. That's the more interesting question to me. And why is that league not going to be called the CAA? If the CAA could get away with 3 conference games, they'd probably schedule it. And because with the defections from that league, I've been saying it for years. They've been hiding not very good football teams in numbers. And that has kind of played itself out in the FCS playoffs the last few years. So I'm very interested to see who's going to play 9 games and who's going to stick with 8 and continue to play 4 non-conference games.
Thank you to host of FCS Nation, Kevin Marshall, for giving us a few minutes of time this evening to preview the 2025 Missouri Valley Football Conference season. FCS Nation, featuring Kevin Marshall and his co-host Stone Labanowitz, former quarterback at Southern Illinois, airs on our WDAY radio airwaves each Saturday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. all season long, recapping each game from the prior week and previewing this week's upcoming games. We're going to a quick break, but when we come back, Jason and I will be previewing the 2025 MSUM Dragon season and what we should expect out of them in NSIC play and beyond. You're listening to the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show on WDAY Radio.
Weather and news fast and first. This is WDAY Radio, AM 970 and FM 93.1. WDAY, Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo. News now from the WDAY Radio Newsroom.
I'm Austin Erickson with the news. Fargo city leaders react to a Minneapolis school shooting, leaving 2 children dead and 17 others hurt. It comes as Fargo received its own unspecified threat to an unnamed school or shopping center this morning. Chief David Zabolski said in a statement, "I want to reassure people Fargo police and its federal partners continue to actively investigate the potential threat. We have no information to suggest it's credible." A woman is dead after the bicycle she was riding in Richland County, North Dakota, was rear-ended by a car. Troopers responded around 3:45 Tuesday afternoon in the 900 block of County Road 81 in rural Fairmount. The Highway Patrol says a 45-year-old Fairmount woman died at the scene and wasn't wearing a helmet. The driver of the car, a 33-year-old Hankinson woman, received minor injuries. Questions have been raised about Minnesota possibly allowing illegal immigrants to also get a commercial driver's license. This comes after Harjinder Singh, who's originally from India and has a CDL from California, allegedly killed 3 people while making an illegal U-turn in Florida. Minnesota's Department of Public Safety tells Flag Family News the state's driver's license for all law doesn't apply to CDLs. Those who live in the state can get a standard Class D driver's license without proof of immigration status if they pass written and road tests. That's a look at the news. I'm Austin Erickson.
First with the news when you need to know. WDAYRadioNow.com.
This season on Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Yes, college football is back.
Our lives finally have meaning again.
After a really long offseason.
Look, our QB's on the draft slide. Whoa!
Oh, he's going to win. Not where he expected.
Everything will be questioned.
What is this place?
Don't they know it's Saturday?
Everything.
College football is changing.
The Dr. Pepper flavors, too.
It's all connected.
Fansville Season 8.
I don't think I've ever seen someone slide so far.
College football, it's a Pepper thing.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Young Catholic school children attending a back-to-school mass in Minneapolis struck down in their pews when a gunman started shooting through the stained glass windows from the parking lot. The shooting leaving an 8- and 10-year-old dead and more than a dozen others, including 14 children and 3 adults wounded. ABC's Alex Perez in Minneapolis.
A community in anguish.
And I heard something like really loud, like I thought it was fireworks in the church.
5th grader Clarissa Garcia.
And then I saw the shooting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
After a mass shooter killed 2 children and shot many more as they prayed in church. The police chief breaking the tragic news.
The coward that shot these victims took his own life in the rear of the church.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, angry and emotional.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying.
The FBI's identified the shooter as 23-year-old Robin Westman, who was born Robert Westman. Missing for nearly 2 weeks, the search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Harrow continues in California's Riverside County, but officials now say they have a strong indication of the location of his remains. The child's parents, 32-year-old Jake Mitchell Harrow and 41-year-old Rebecca Renee Harrow, have been arrested for the murder of their baby. Lawyers representing Susan Menares saying, contrary to what the government has said or announced, the CDC director is not resigning. Separately, sources say at least 3 top CDC officials have resigned. Don't expect much space on the armrest if you're flying this Labor Day weekend. TSA expecting about 17 million passengers to be screened. Roadways could be packed. Sally French from NerdWallet says if you haven't booked a hotel or rental car yet, might be in your favor.
Rental cars actually are on average cheaper when booked within 7 days of the trip than booked 3 months out. And then with hotels, you can use sites like Hotel Tonight to find those last-minute hotel room deals.
You're listening to ABC News.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Generally clear skies through the evening hours. A beautiful evening with temperatures holding in the 70s, and then we'll slowly fall off to an overnight low into the mid-50s under clear skies with winds turning to the northeast on the light side. Plenty of sunshine for your Thursday with highs right around 80, and then partly cloudy skies as we start out Friday. An isolated sprinkle can't be ruled out, but most areas remaining dry with highs in the upper 70s. From the WDAY Radio Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
Welcome back, students. We know that you're busy at school, and the last thing you need to worry about is finding trustworthy car repair. Hi, I'm Matthew, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. Whether it's a routine oil change to, hey, why is my check engine light on? You can enjoy peace of mind knowing that we're
Welcome
just
back to the
minutes away
Dr.
from
Pepper
your campus. We also offer free Uber rides, text communication, and after-hours drop-off so you don't miss a thing. Plus, you get $20 off any oil change all year long with your student ID. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
This is the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
College Football Preview Show on WDAY Radio. Big game James McCarty alongside Jace Denman. And we just got done talking, of course, with Kevin Marshall of SCS Nation. So some really good stuff there. The entire show, Dragon Football, Cobbers, the Gophers a little bit, UND Fighting Hawk football as well. So a lot of great content in this evening's show. But we get a good 11, 12-minute segment here to preview the Dragons' 2025 season, coming off of a year that they were 6-5. They have a ton of production back this season, Jace, and but at the same point, with all that production back, you do have a couple of holes that are going to need to be filled, specifically on the defensive end of the football, and that's something I'm very curious about because we know special teams are going to get locked down by Max Watson, the Fargo North product.
Yeah.
We know that they're going to be using a true freshman punter in Ulmer, Tristan Ulmer, excuse me. I remember him at Mandan with the Braves, an incredible leg, and so that's going to be really good to help reassure. You have Seabass, Sebastian Amaror, going to be doing a little bit of kickoff
specialty,
actually, a kickoff specialty itself. Place kicking is all going to be field goals through Max Watson of North, but when we look defensively, I thought that was the biggest question mark that we're going to run into because just in the bit of research that I've done, my brushing up as we get ready for the season here, I mean, you're replacing 4 defensive linemen, you're replacing 2 linebackers, you're replacing overall, on average, about 35-ish, almost 3 dozen games worth of production from these positions. On the defensive line, of course, you have Andrew Spandieri, who played in 12 games. He was a walk-on that didn't even have a spot when he started with the Dragons. Ended up playing 12 games, all 11 in 2024. Jaden Chrisman, who also is off to his future endeavors. That was 20 games in the interior defensive line.
Yeah.
But on the edges, you're replacing those guys. Justice Noel, who played 35 career games. Denver Sheets from Williston. He played in every game he was eligible for 4 years, 44 games. 11 times 4. Just incredible there. And then the linebacking core over the last handful of seasons, Jack Bungarden, 33 games. Josiah Boehm, he had 44 games under his belt. So we know that literally the entire secondary is back. We actually have a couple guys that are moving to specialist roles or hybrid type roles like Jack Johnson, who's going to be this outside linebacker / safety, just an absolute menace like Josh Metellus for the Vikings.
Yep.
We know that you have Kenan Stowers, who is moving to an outside linebacker role as well. You have Jacob Brocious moving from an edge rusher to an interior defensive lineman to try and fill some of these voids. But just as you look at that, you know that you're going to miss that production, right? I mean, you have two guys that throughout their career literally had over 80 games of experience between the two of them. When you look at Noel and Sheets, that's going to be tough to replace, but you have guys that can do that. And same thing in the linebacking core. The two guys in the middle for you in Bungardner with 33 games, Boehm with 44. You're going to learn a lot about this Dragon team Thursday evening over on our sister station, The Flag, beginning at 5 p.m., a 4:45 local Central Time pregame at Northern Michigan, because it's a lot of new faces in the front six, front seven, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But that secondary is as experienced as anybody, not just in the NSIC, but, I mean, quite possibly all of college football at any level.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you start with the secondary first, because that's, like you said, the most experienced group that we have. You've got Pearson, you've got Munger, you've got Sorensen, you got Evan Miles, are your four listed as cornerbacks. Collenbach is back at free safety. Gavin Jarko is back at strong safety. You got a young man from Bismarck and Peyton Arndt that'll be back there in the safety positions as well. But you have two guys that were in the secondary, specifically in Kenan Stowers and Jack Johnson. Now, we've seen Jack Johnson come up from that safety position, make a lot of big hits. They're transitioning both those young men into linebacking roles. And then, of course, in the middle, you got Mitch Jezierski, who is ready to step up and kind of take that mantle from Jacob Brocious and Josiah Boehm. So he's excited about his opportunities to be the man in the middle there. On the other side, Tate Gustafson, we've seen him kind of, to me, if you were running a true 4-3 all the time, he would be like one of those defensive edges in my opinion. But he gets on the outside. He can make some things happen at that linebacker position. Defensive line, we're talking about potentially Zach Dahl, Denver Pikowski being there, Ashton Sayre, Jacob Brocious up the middle, Will Martin on that other defensive end. You got Ashton Jaden as well. And I'm sort of wondering if maybe this year, based on the fact that they've lost a lot of depth in the interior of that defense, both on the defensive line and the middle linebacker spot, I'm wondering if we may see not so much a move away from a four-man front, but maybe they'll play a little bit more 3-4, because then you can maybe disguise some of the lack of size that we have in that front four, based on the fact that in a 3-4, a lot of times you don't know where that fourth rusher is coming at from. It can come from either side. It can come from the middle. We've got a lot of linebackers. We move some guys to linebacker as well. So maybe they'll do a little bit more of that on the defensive side of the ball. I think this defense, while maybe undersized per se as maybe those big 300-pound beef eaters up front, I mean, I think they've got a ton of athleticism. And so I kind of wonder from the coaching staff perspective, maybe there's going to be more blitzing, more trying to take advantage of their athleticism versus other opponents' offensive lines to create pressure, to be able to fill those run lanes. And obviously, if you got guys like Johnson and Stowers that are now linebackers, they're a step up closer to that line of scrimmage, able to fill those holes. So we'll see if they scheme it up a little bit differently this year to take advantage of the athleticism, as opposed to some teams that just simply have a lot of size up front.
Yeah, and in the last note that I have defensively, just with the limited time that we have, I'm stealing it basically right out of the mouth of Jacob Brocious, the Fargo North product, who's moving from edge rusher to inside for the most part, D-tackle this season. Looking forward to seeing what he can do, because, I mean, I said it a few times now, his arms are, about the size of a tree trunk.
There's several guys on the roster that we came back this year and went, wait a minute. Well, somebody beefed up a little bit.
So the conversations that we have preseason, whether it's Gage Florence, it's Jacob Brocious, head coach Steve Lockway, all those different guys up on the website, WDAYRadioNow.com, underneath the sports tab. They're right there front and center for you. But Jacob Brocious had mentioned how they're going to use their speed, they're going to use their agility, their lateral movements. They're going to try and make those offensive linemen across from them use their athleticism. Otherwise, they're going to beat them. And I think they have a good opportunity. That last note I have, it's on the defensive ends. I'm really excited about them. A couple of younger players, Zach Dahl, who played some interior, some outside on the end last year on the line. The sophomore from Farmington, I really think he has some high upside. And then Will Martin on the other side, a redshirt freshman from Detroit Lakes. He played in 3 games, still was able to get his red shirt last season. He has a ton of upside. I remember watching him in high school against DGF and Perham and those type of schools, and he was a menace as a linebacker. Now moving down to a 3-point stance in college, and I'm excited to see what he has to offer. Biggest thing I note, when you look at Dahl, you look at Martin specifically, they're about 20, 25 pounds lighter than the other 2 guys from last year in Noel and Sheets. So they're going to be a little bit more, I would say, you don't want to say dancing, but there's going to be some more athleticism showing off than just straight bull rushing type things, and I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Well, and I think we'll see it right away from game 1 because obviously as we get set to watch the Dragons take on Northern Michigan, they've got 3 guys on that offensive line for Northern Michigan that are 3 bills or higher. The biggest one is a 343-pound sophomore. So we'll see right away how this kind of defensive scheme works against a team that's got 6'5", 300, 6'3", 305, and 6'4", 343 right up the middle of that offensive line. We'll see how that coaching staff tries to attack something like that.
Now offensively for the Dragons, it's 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide, all depending on how Coach Lockway wants to go about it. But starting quarterback, record setter, D2 Elite 100 watch list guy, preseason, Shrine Bowl 1000 watch list guy, Jack Strand, playing in 31 games for the Dragons so far in his career. He's approaching the 10,000 yards passing mark. He's approaching 100 career passing touchdowns at the collegiate level. A crazy experienced receiving core for him. Now, what's interesting about the offense, 2 things. One, the tight end room is 2 guys that are redshirt freshmen that literally have not played a snap of football entering Thursday night's matchup against Northern Michigan.
And
guys that we watched in high school, Gavin Lill and Joe Rose.
One of them specifically, so Joe Rose, obviously, he was the guy opposite their
Carter Zeller.
Carter Zeller. I was
North,
going to say the wrong Carter, but Carter Zeller was the basketball player. He was the offensive guy. Joe Rose was a big body on the basketball court. He's the even bigger body now on the football field because now he's listed at 6'4", 238. He looks huge this year. But he's a blocking tight end is a lot of times what you would think of him. Gavin Lill, 6 foot 210 is what they have him listed at. I would have sworn that he was a 5'10", 5'11 running back coming out of Bismarck Century. That young man's bulked up as well. And look, if you can block a little bit, and that has nothing to do with height, and if you can catch the ball in the Steve Lockway offense, you're going to be just fine. So it's a little interesting seeing him listed at tight end because, quite honestly, I mean, he was running the ball out of the backfield for the Patriots. So it'll be interesting to see those 2 guys there. But those are the most inexperienced positions that we have. I mean, for the most part, an offensive line that's got at least 2 to 3 years experience out there starting, getting playing time. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've only got 2 seniors listed right now on the depth chart.
Yeah,
so
the
mean,
O-line is very intriguing to me because the interior O-line, you bring back a bunch of experienced guys that are already 2-year starters. Owen Bartle battled injuries, missed most of last season. He's got 14 games in his career. But your center and your left guard and Nick Haugerud and then Brendan Selheim each have started every game the last 2 seasons in various roles depending on when the team has needed them. The Dragons tend to go deeper in the offensive line, though, because of how the offense no huddle. They move it. They're throwing bubble screens. They use an extension of the bubble screen kind of realm as an extension of the run game. They really do. And so you go 8 guys or so deep on the offensive line. You start Manny Wilson and Grant Erickson at the tackles, both of which you didn't get an opportunity to redshirt last year because they played 5 games as true freshmen out of necessity. You've got those other 3 in the interior, like I had mentioned, Bartle, Haugerud, and Selheim. But then you have these guys mixing in. Brooks O'Brien's played 27 games in his career. He's going to get a few drives a game. And then opposite him, Brady Olson's a guy who's played in a full season. He missed all of last year with an injury, though, as he enters, possibly, depending on how he goes. With his degree, junior by eligibility, but a senior
at college,
by college standards, right? Those guys are going to add depth, and then you're going to sneak in possibly guys that include Jacob Dorner, Kyle Nemzik, and then Luke Rogan actually from Shanley as well.
Yeah.
Those guys have possibilities, but I'm very excited for this offense because we didn't even talk about it because we just don't have the time to tonight. But Gage Florence, the record-setting wide receiver, he's 3 receptions away from 300 in his career.
Yep.
He's 200 yards away from 3,000 career yards. Madden Thorson's got himself over 100 receptions and 1,500 yards in his career at this point. He's entering his junior year. Carson Albert had this breakout year where he had almost 500 yards receiving last season. Oh, by the way, D2 Elite 100 watch list guy, Brady Perryman.
Yeah.
Dude has 26 touchdowns the last 3 seasons. I believe 14 were last year. And by the way, Carter Bierencott, he's basically missed
back.
2 calendar years, but he still has 18 games under his belt.
Yeah.
He has over 1,000 yards receiving in his career, and he's a guy who very well could go for 1,000 yards depending on how the workload splits for the receiving core this year.
You've got so many wide receivers, not even to mention guys like Kelly Johnson out there as well. Obviously,
Denzel Sutton's a redshirt freshman you really got to look out for.
You got all these wide receivers, and we were talking about stuff heading into press conference time, media day, etc. with the Dragons, and it was one of those things where Brady Perryman, he's had some injury concerns himself as well, but it's like you start talking about Madden and Gage and Carter's back, and Carson and Elbert really developed last year, and it's like, oh wait, I completely forgot about Brady Perryman, so I see him on this list for a watch list, and you're just like, oh, that's right. You got to watch out for big play, Brady Perryman. So just a ton of talent in that wide receiver room. They love to spread things out. They love to throw it around. They've got a potential All-American. Maybe some are even saying in certain articles I've read, James, maybe a potential Harlan Hill finalist at the D2 level and Jack Strand. So we'll see. A lot of it's going to depend, though, on that defense and how they can mature and develop over the course of the year to go along with this veteran offense.
It really will. And so we're out of time for our segment, though. So 2 things of note to remember. Tomorrow, Thursday, 6 p.m., right here on WDAY Radio, Spud football kicks off their season against Rogers. Larry Knutson on the call for that one. Jace and I on our sister station, The Flag, 4:45 Central Time pregame, 5 p.m. kickoff in Marquette, Michigan. Dragon football against Northern Michigan. Looking forward to it. We got to go to a break that we come back. Steve Hallstrom, he's going to put a bow on the show, the last couple of segments talking UND Fighting Hawks, Minnesota Golden Gophers, mixing in some Cobbers and Bison talk as well. You're listening to the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show on WDAY Radio.
This season on Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Yes, college football is back.
Our lives finally have meaning again.
After a really long offseason.
Look, our QB's on the draft slide. Whoa!
Oh, he's going. To where? Not where he expected.
Everything will be questioned.
What is this place?
Don't they know it's Saturday?
Everything.
College football is changing.
The Dr. Pepper flavors, too.
It's all connected.
Fansville Season 8.
I don't think I've ever seen someone slide so far.
College football, it's a Pepper thing.
This month at Luther Family Buick GMC, the deals are bold and the savings are real. Drive home a GMC Sierra 1500 with 0% APR or take 20% off MSRP. Thinking electric? Check out our EV lineup. Power, performance, and innovation built in. Plus, take advantage of our full Buick lineup with 0.9% APR on Encores, Envisions, and Vistas and Enclaves. Stop in today. Luther Family Buick GMC I-29 and 32nd Avenue South Fargo. We are professional grade.
4 or more. Book your group outings now at Dakota Winds Golf Course, open at Dakota Magic Casino. Dakota Winds offers the perfect golf getaway for a company event, family get-together, or an afternoon with friends. Play on our expansive 27-hole reversible course or check out our pro shop to get a competitive edge. Plus, our full-service clubhouse is a great place to end your outing. With every tee-off, the excitement never ends. Discover the magic of Dakota Winds at Dakota Magic Casino. For details, go online at dakotamagic.com.
This is Mark Wagner with ND Estate Services. Mainly, my job here is to help educate families on what your kids are going to have to go through someday. We show you how to avoid that probate at death, eliminate that legal guardianship when you're incapacitated, save taxes for your family, but most of all, how you can have that peace of mind for a peaceful, private family settlement. Call us today, 701-318-0908. We'll talk to you soon.
Dad, have you thought about moving somewhere where you can get more help if you need it?
I don't want to give up my independence.
At Bethany Retirement Living, you don't have to. They offer beautiful rooms, home-cooked meals, a chapel, a coffee shop, and lots of things to do, all with care that feels like home.
That does sound nice. Maybe I should take a tour.
Discover why life is better at Bethany. Schedule a tour today, online at BethanyND.org. Reside, relax, rehab.
I'm Jimmy Uland, and I farm close to Prosper, North Dakota. I've been with Peterson Farm Seed for probably 20 years. I use soybeans and corn, and I guess I have wheat too, so you can be assured that when they recommend a product for your field that it's going to be the right one because they do so much in-field research. What matters to farmers more than anything is yield. With the research that they do in this area, they do have the right products for the right soil type or environment. Usually their yields are right at the top.
That was Jim Hewlin with his views on Peterson Farm Seeds.
You spend a third of your life in bed. Why wouldn't you want to sleep well? Snooze Mattress of Fargo has big discounts on Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Stearns & Foster, Serta, and Sealy. Top names in comfort, all part of the Labor Day sales event going on now at Snooze Mattress Company. Stop in today and talk with Sean. He'll help you find your perfect mattress. Snooze Mattress, nationally branded, locally loved. Visit them at 5050 13th Avenue South in Fargo. If you don't snooze, you lose.
It's that time of year again at Tailgaters. You can be out on the Tailgaters Silver Bullet patio with an ice-cold beverage and some delicious barbecue. Coors Light and Coors Banquet Pounders are $4.50 all day, every day, all summer long. So go enjoy the Tailgaters Silver Bullet patio and live music outside on Thursday night at 6:30 p.m., where the concerts are family and pet friendly. This week, the band Special Blend is playing at Tailgaters, corner of Main and University, downtown Fargo.
This is the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff, the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Special. Time now to head over to Moorhead and talk about the Concordia Cobbers. The Cobbers gear up for a promising 2025 season in the MIAC after a solid 7-3 mark last year, 6-2 in league play. That's their best finish since 2019 in the MIAC. Under veteran head coach Terry Horan going into his 25th season, the Cobbers return a wealth of experience, 5 defensive starters and 3 offensive linemen, and you got to be big up front if you're going to compete in the MIAC. Coach Horan, thank you very much for being with us here tonight on the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Special.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Well, I'd like to give you a bad time. About 25 years, you must be old, but I was covering you before you went to Concordia College, so I can't say much of anything. But isn't it amazing? 25 years have already gone by at Concordia.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. I still remember the days when you would come over to the sideline at Breckenridge High School. Holy smokes. Yeah, I won't get this camera too close. You'll see a lot of grays. And
same.
It's been a great ride. I love Concordia. It's my alma mater. 3 head coaches in 85 years. Lots of stability, right? And something that we talk about in our recruiting process. And Coach Christofferson, 32 years. He was my mentor. And then his mentor was Jake Christensen, whose name just is on our stadium, So, it's a good place to be and a great league, as you know.
25 years leading the team and the program at Concordia. Where do you think you're a better coach now than maybe when you came to campus 25 years ago? Where have you grown as a leader and as a coach, do you think?
Well, boy, that's a great answer. I mean, obviously seasoned, right? You've been doing this for a long time. And I guess, just the overall schematics of the game. I've got a great staff around me, and we've been able to kind of put the 5 full-timers, and I've got 5 other coaches, 4 of which are GAs. So we have a really good formula. The D3 world, you gotta be able to ad-lib a little bit, to try to do some things that are a little bit different than the norm, and just to create a great staff. But I've got great kids around me. We recruit really hard. I just think, I know kids, I know young men, and I've been obviously leading for 36 years, and this gray hair doesn't come with nothing. That's for sure.
Terry, I want to ask you a little bit about the conference. They say the always rugged MIAC, and it certainly is this year. Concordia had a great year last year. You and St. Olaf finished at 7-3. Tied for 3rd in the conference behind Bethel and St. John's. It looks like the Royals and the Johnnies are going to be solid again this year, ranked St. John's 4th or 5th in the preseason polls and Bethel number 12. So the schedule is going to be tough because you have those two every year on your schedule, and you're back to a schedule now where you do play everybody again in the conference. I guess the good news is that on the Cobbers schedule, you get both St. John's and Bethel at your place this year.
Yeah, no, that is good news, and you're exactly right. St. John's, Bethel, outstanding programs. They went deep into the playoffs last year. They have a lot returning, well-coached football teams. The one thing you did mention is, yeah, we get to play everybody in the league again, which we haven't done for the last 4 seasons. And our first conference game actually is with an opponent, St. Olaf, who we haven't seen since 2019 because of the 2-divisional format. And we do play for the ugliest traveling trophy in the country with the Norwegian Troll.
Yes.
So it's going to be good to kind of tango with those guys. They're well coached and they've got a nice team as well.
What excites you about your squad this year, Coach? Where are you going to hang your hat this year, offensive, defensively, and special teams as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So offensively, you said, I mean, we got to be really rugged up front, right? And we got 3 starters back, really good size up front. Jake Long, Angel Reyes, we're talking 6'4", 310, 6'4", 315 on the right side of the line. Sam Diosegi was probably he was our top lineman last year. He's about 6 foot 285, and he's only a free sports star here at Concordia. So he's a great leader. He's one of our captains, and he's only a junior. Max Baumgartner, another kid who's shown a lot of great signs. He's a local boy from DGF. He's about 6'3", 310. So we got to be really tough up front. We got to have a really good running game. I really love our backs. Mason Hughes out of Arizona, played at Pinnacle High School. And then also Griffin Babolian, 2 guys with a lot of experience back. And they had a lot of experience as a freshman last year. Babolian's from Fergus Falls locally too. So good backs. Got some really good receivers. We got decent depth out there too, as we're kind of that spread happy style team now. Jed Klang, senior captain from Brainerd. He's just a big old avatar out there. He's a great receiver, great hands, great big target for our QBs to hit. And obviously the one position that probably everybody is talking about for us is who's our quarterback going to be. And we'll be naming one after we're done with our next couple practices here as we get into game week next week. But Jersey Salzler transferred to us a couple of years ago from across 8th Street at Minnesota State University Moorhead. He's a Velva boy, so he certainly grew up in a great program. And, just listening to you guys talking about MSUM with Gage Florence, he threw to Gage in high school. So Jersey, super cerebral, competitive, really calm, cool, collected. He's the guy with the most experience for us, but not game experience. So he hasn't had big live bullets coming at him. And he's kind of the front runner as we speak. He brings in the most experience. But we have, Nick Walter, a young man from Annandale, coach's kid, brought his team to a state championship game 2 years ago, lost in the title. But coach's kid and a leader, very competitive. Grant Logie out of Pequot Lakes, another solid QB that can really chuck it good. And then Isaac Cisneros is an athletic QB. They all been getting even reps. So we're excited to kind of see that shake out and get that depth going. So then we can start, doing a lot of pairing up with our ones and our twos and get prepared for our game.
Yeah, Coach, we got about another minute, just a minute or two left here. Give us a couple names on defense to look forward to this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, defense, obviously, Jaden Mousse is a young man out of Florida, outside linebacker, probably one of our top defensive players, great athleticism. We're bringing back 5 on defense, 2 other defensive linemen, Mason Swanson, a young man from Wilmer that's played a lot for us, Ethan Larson from Barnesville, outside backer, outstanding freshman for us last year. Got a couple of defensive backs that are back. Mikhail Korf is in for his 5th year. Pelican Rapids kid who was injured, and another local guy. But we're a 3-4 style defense. Kyle Bachen's been my D coordinator for for probably 14 years now, 17 years he's been with us. So we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be physical, and we're, hopefully we match up well with a lot of teams within our league and continue to do the things that we can do. Special teams wise, we'll be quick. We've got a new kicker for the first time in 4 years. So we're going to name that young man next week. But it's been a good battle in camp, and I'm excited to kind of see how that goes.
Very good. Well, Coach, it all starts under the lights for the first time. The first night game in Cobber history coming up next Saturday night at 7 p.m. as the Cobbers open the home season against Mayville State. And I can't wait for that day. It'll be a special day, and can't wait for that day. I'll be able to do a couple things over there. I'll be doing a chapel with your team and earlier in the day, and then also a pregame special here on WDAY Radio as we get set for the home opener. So it should be a fun one. It'll be here before we know it. Coach, continued success. Keep everybody healthy for the next week or so, and can't wait to see you next Saturday night.
Yeah, can't wait either, Steve. Thanks for having us on. We look forward to being a part of everything next Saturday. Thank you.
It'll be a great time. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Terry Horan, head coach of the Concordia Cobbers in his 25th year. When we come back, we'll talk UND football and the Minnesota Gophers. That's next on the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Special.
Fansville, Special Teams Unit.
How's it look?
We got multiple punctures.
Evidence suggests a crime of passion.
It appears we have ourselves a flag planting.
No! Those tech fans make me sick.
We got a composite.
Is that a duck with ice cold Dr. Pepper?
That's no duck. That's a platypus. And a mascot always returns to the scene of an upset. Get that fan!
Stinks!
College football, it's a Pepper thing.
At Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City, our legacy isn't just about selling cars. We're about building trust and relationships that span generations and doing right by our customers. One of those ways by offering you savings up to $11,492 on a new GMC Sierra 1500. Trusted for generations, driven by legacy, we're Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City.
Not available with some other offers. Must trade in a 2011 model year or newer vehicle. See dealer for details. Ends 9/2/25.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank our listeners for all your continued support. Mike has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life. He didn't stop by creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. So back by popular demand, they have brought back an offer that all of my listeners love. The Percale bed sheets. Any size, any color, just $29.88. That's right. You can even get queens, kings, split kings, and Cal kings. Any size, any color, just $29.88. Get them while they last, because when they're gone, they're gone. The MyPillow Percale bed sheets are breathable and have a cool, crisp feel. They have deep pockets to fit over any mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code SCOTT/WDAY to receive the MyPillow Percale sheets for just $29.88. Order now or call 800-506-9028 and use the promo code SCOTT/WDAY.
I didn't realize how much I'd lost until I got it back. I stopped smiling in photos, avoided dinners with friends, and even laughed less. I told myself it was just aging or it's too expensive to fix. But the truth, I was embarrassed. Then I found Dr. Matt Eaton and his compassionate team at Dakota Implant and Sedation Center. From the moment I walked in, they saw me, not my teeth. They treated me with dignity and gave me something back I didn't think was possible, a confident smile. The sedation made everything easy, no pain, no fear, and the cost, honestly, more affordable than I ever imagined. Today, I smile like I mean it. I eat what I want. I feel like myself again.
If you're living in silence, without smiles and laughter and feeling stuck, you're not alone. At Dakota Implant and Sedation Center, they realize your smile will transform your life. Smile like you mean it by making the first call today, Dakota Implant and Sedation Center.
Time now for Focus on the Field with your Ag Director, agriculturalist Bridget Riegel.
After years of low crop prices and rising costs, America's small farmers are facing a crisis brought on by higher interest rates, trade war, and dramatically reduced demand from China. In the first half of the year, small business bankruptcies filed by farmers and fishermen hit the highest number since 2020, which was the tail end of a similar cycle in low pricing. Farm debt is expected to exceed $561 billion this year, another record high. It's been tough going, and break-evens are at or below cost for many of the commodities being sold. Lenders have pulled back from the farm business as the industry struggled, and as local banks have been more cautious with farm loans, specialty firms have stepped in, but with much higher interest rates and more onerous terms.
That's today's Focus on the Field with Bridget Riedel, your ag industry expert. Tune in for Bridget's Ag News updates each weekday here on WDAY. This is the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
Let's now take a visit up to Grand Forks and talk about the UND Fighting Hawks getting ready to begin their 2025 season. We're pleased to be joined by Mike Berg. Mike, the broadcast analyst for the UND Football Radio Network, a guy that you probably remember from his high school coaching days. 28 years at Grand Forks Central High School, but a veteran of college and high school football coaching. Good enough to take a few minutes here with us today. Coach Berg, thank you for your time. Great to visit with you. Exciting. The UND Fighting Hawks will open, I guess you'd say, with a bang, with a big game at Kansas State, ranked top 20 in the FBS. And that'll be a big game Saturday at 6 o'clock. And Kansas State coming off a close loss to Iowa State in a game over in Ireland. And what a way to start the season.
Yes, it really is, Steve. And thanks for having me. I'm happy to join you. Absolutely. A new era at UND. Lots of changes with the football program. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy in the program. And I think people are anxious to see them take the field. It's interesting that they're playing against an opponent with some familiar names attached to that program. And so, it should be, well, I'll just say we're really looking forward to the weekend, and it should be an exciting one.
There is a new head coach. You mentioned it a minute ago. A lot of changes this year. Eric Schmidt is in, a former standout linebacker for UND himself, and he's bringing in a new look, a 4-2 defensive front instead of that traditional 3-4 we're used to at UND. How much of a change is that going to be for the players and everybody in the system?
I thought initially when he came in, and of course he was familiar with that defense, running it the last several stops that he made, starting at Fresno State, then Washington and San Diego State. I thought this is going to look radically different. This is going to be a whole new deal. I'm going to have a lot to learn. And as I've watched them in practice, it's still 11 guys out there lining up in places and coming from places, bringing pressures, with alignments and movements that look very familiar to the defense I've seen. He is a guy that believes in bringing pressure. He's a guy that believes in making the defensive or the offensive people move their eyes and have to make some decisions. And so I think it's exciting. And the question is, do they have the personnel in spots that are critical at this point, or is that coming down the line somewhere? But I think they feel pretty good about what they've installed.
What have you noticed about Coach Schmidt and the way he's run the program, taking over for a legend and a much-loved coach in Bubba Schweiger? But what have you seen from Eric Schmidt and the way he's handling the team that leads you to believe that they're going to have some success with him as the leader?
Well, going back, I've known Eric since he was in high school in Mandan and worked with him in the Shrine Bowl, many years ago. And so, if you know him, you know he approaches the game with a bit of a hard edge. That's the way he played. That's the way he's coached in his previous stops. And I mean, he's been a high school head coach. He was a long-time assistant in college. This is his dream job right here. I mean, he gave up a lot financially and otherwise to come to UND because this is where he wants to be. So what I've seen is, number one, a passion, a true love for this university and this program. He's a guy that would rather be here, I believe, at this point in his career than anywhere. And that's reflected in the way he is on the field. It's reflected in his staff. I've visited quite a bit with the assistants. They seem to be buying into all of the energy and all the expectations that he's brought. And certainly the players know they're being held to a high standard. And, I think he set that standard as a player. That's what he's had as a coach. And that is the expectation. So it's all business, and people are excited to be part of a program that I think is going to be on the rise.
The quarterback will be Jerry Kaminsky. He was named as the starter earlier this week by Coach Schmidt. Jerry Kaminsky, after a tough quarterback competition in fall camp, has been named the starter. Tell us what we can expect with Jerry at the helm.
Well, he's a guy that comes with great credentials out of high school and kind of has that gene pool, comes from that gene pool of his father is a well-known and successful coach. And so, yeah, he was in the mix last year, actually, and it was a young guy, but you could see his athletic talent. And I think, why did he win the job at this point? I think he's been more consistent. I mean, every darn thing these quarterbacks do in practice is filmed and graded. There's nothing happening on the field that they're not accountable for. And I think overall, he's just been more consistent, had a good grasp of the offense. Isaac Frichte, the offensive coordinator, hasn't really made great changes from last year's system that he installed. And so it's understandable, but there's a couple guys behind him that I would suspect are going to get a chance to play. Certainly one of them this week. And so I don't know that all the decisions have been made, but I don't have any problem at all. And I would have gone the same way had I had a vote in it. I think he's earned the job.
So the season starts Saturday at Kansas State. That'll be a tough game, no question about that. And then a couple weeks later, you follow that up with a trip out to Missoula to take on the Grizzlies. That's always a fun place to play, but a tough place to win. But the schedule, I guess, turns a little bit after that. You get a road trip to South Dakota, which is no bargain, early in November. But 2 of the last 3 games are at home to both NDSU and South Dakota State as well. As you take a look at the schedule, Coach, what kind of challenges and opportunities do you see there?
Well, it's an interesting schedule, and I think they were picked as probably having the toughest schedule in FCS. That's easy to say it in preseason when nobody's really played yet. Also interesting in that it's home away every weekend. So there's no 2 on the road or two at home in a row. You mentioned Montana. They've had actually pretty good success against Montana, particularly in Grand Forks. It's a great place to play, maybe the best venue that I've been to in FCS football as far as the support of the crowd. So that's down the line, but I kind of like the schedule and the fact that you're playing SDSU and NDSU in Grand Forks. It's late in the season, but hopefully at that point they are meaningful games and you're in the mix for something, and it'd be nice to be home for those.
Yes, absolutely. And with a new coach and some new schemes, it's maybe nice to get some of those top rivals later in the year after you get a few laps around the track. Mike, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing how UND does this year, coming off a 5-7 campaign, and we appreciate you taking the time to give us a little preview tonight.
Nice to talk to you. Appreciate being on, and best wishes to all of our area teams. Lots of good college football in the area to watch this year.
It's a fun time of year. Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate it very much.
Right.
Mike Berg, the legendary Coach Mike Berg, joining us here on the College Football Preview Special, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. All right, we're going to finish by talking a little bit of Gopher football. PJ Fleck is back at the helm, getting ready to lead his team into a brand new season, and it opens tomorrow night at 7 o'clock against Buffalo. And to help us break it down, Justin Kenzemius, former Fargo South product, and the Fargo Flash, went on to play 4 years for the Minnesota Gophers. He's been kind enough to take a few minutes here on the program tonight. Hey, Justin, how you doing?
Great, Steve. How you been? It's been a while. Good to hear your voice. Good to see you.
Right back at you. Well, this is such a fun time of year, and for yourself, being a former player, you probably never lose that football blood pumping through your body as you're getting ready. It's the eve of game number 1 as a former alum, or as an alum and a former player. What goes through your mind and heart as you get ready to start taking in a brand new season?
Well, I just think there's so much time put into that first game. You know, you go way back to, you can go into January, February, March, the off-season workouts, of course, spring football. And so there's just, and then you're in your summer workouts, your pre-fall camp, which seems to go on forever. And so you're beating up on each other and you just want to play someone else so bad. And you're not really always sure exactly what you got. Everyone's pretty optimistic, but you're just excited to get out there and see what you have. And, you know, those first punches, those first series, you know, are so pivotal to see where teams are at. And the older I got, the more I remind everyone, just like take a deep breath. Don't be too excited, too jacked up. it's a long season, it's a long game, but those first couple series for both the players, the coaches, and the fans, there's lots of nerves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Vegas has us picked as a 6, maybe a 7-win football team. A lot of new faces, obviously, and I guess the number one new face is under center, where Drake Lindsey, the redshirt freshman, will take the snaps. He hasn't played a lot of meaningful football so far, but the pre-camp reviews have been absolutely fantastic. What have you seen? What have you heard?
Well, Drake is an exceptional talent. He's the type of talent, Steve, we haven't had at the University of Minnesota. But, talent's one thing. You got to go on the field and develop that. And you put a lot on a first-year quarterback. I don't care if it's the high school level, the pro level. And so there's a lot that we've liked, but he's been challenged just as he's getting to learn college football and how fast you need to read. You think of, Max Brosmer for a year ago. Well, Max benefits, right? Because Max has been in a system at New Hampshire for a number of years. So took him a little bit of time to get adjusted, but once he got adjusted, he had so much experience. So for Drake, the talent is there, right? He's 6'5", 6'6". He's got a big arm. It looks like he can read the pocket. I think over the course of time, he's the type of player that I think will bring the explosiveness to this Gopher offense. I candidly think the ground and pound scheme that PJ likes, the ball control has been great. But when you really think, I think where this offense needs to evolve, it's got to be those explosive plays. And I think a guy under center or in the shotgun like a Drake Lindsey, I think he's the starting of making that happen.
PJ Fleck is going into his 9th season as head coach of the Gophers, 13th year overall as a head coach. And he's a guy that I think when he came in, a lot of us were trying to figure out what to make of him and all the sayings and the alliterations and all the initials and all of that. But the kids love this guy. They have bought in, and year after year, as we're looking at 9 years in, when PJ Fleck gets a team ready for the season, you feel like, this is going to be a competitive football team. Are they going to win 10 games every year? No, but that level of respectability has certainly risen under him. Your impressions of PJ and how he's brought this program along?
Well, yeah, he took something over that, with Jerry Kill and Tracy Clays, the program they lost some of the discipline. And so he obviously had a lot to dig out of, but he's really brought a recruiting base that's been differential, especially the last couple of years with the in-state talent that he's locked down. I think he's navigated the changes in college football fairly well, right? You think of the transfer portal and NIL. I think he's been in the forefront of that. And, he's had to deal with a lot of coaching changes, but he's been able to find defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators that can plug in. So I think he's done everything that we've had. I think what he's always said, Steve, is program sustainability. Well, right now, entering his 9th year, he's the 3rd longest tenured coach in the Big Ten behind Kirk Ferentz and James Franklin. So candidly, if not when, now, right? I think this has to be the year that they make a big move. It's a schedule when you look at it. There's only 2 ranked teams. And I think PJ, for the right reason, Steve, he's been more boastful. He's been a guy usually that kind of tempers expectations down, but he sees a talented quarterback. He sees the depth that he's actually been able to add through the portal. I think he's made changes defensively, but as he's done that, the defense has remained fairly strong. And so I think they should be boastful. I think the fans should expect a big year. And, we're going to learn a lot tomorrow. It's a good Buffalo team, but I think as the season goes on, there's a couple tough road tests, but it's those games against Rutgers and those games at Iowa. Those are games they typically are 50-50 games. You got to be 6-2 in those games, 7-1. And in doing that, I think a 9-3, 10-2 Big Ten team, 10-2 for sure, but maybe even 9-3, you're in the college football playoff. It's a great conference.
Yeah.
This could be the year.
You never know. And I'm like you. I was really surprised when PJ Fleck said, hey, you can have those high expectations with us this year. We're ready for it. And I think that, to me, Justin, said, okay, he really does believe in Drake Lindsey, because you're not going there and you're not doubling down on expectations if you're not really sure what you've got under the hood with your quarterback. So I believe he's got a lot of trust in him. It's going to be really fun to see how he handles all that.
Well, it's one of those things on offense. I think if you look at the returning players, you got Darius Taylor, and you bring in a transfer from Marshall, a kid named A.J. Taylor that I think led the country in yards per carry at something over 8 yards an attempt. But then you got an offensive line that's kind of been patched up through the portal. But again, those guys played at other places. It's a team I think has the makings of something fairly special. And I think what I really think you need to see offensively, and it starts tomorrow night, is, of course, what is a defensive coordinator going to do, Steve? They're going to put everyone up in the box. They're going to put pressure on a young quarterback. And so that's why I think the play calling and that ability to be willing to throw when you're expected to run and keep defenses on their heels and try to find the explosive plays by throwing the ball downfield, that's the development I think a young quarterback has to have early in the season. And when you're successful doing that, I think this is going to be a tough team.
Darius Taylor is such a fine running back, and I think every Gopher fan was crossing their fingers in the offseason that Alabama wouldn't offer him big money to go somewhere. And it sounds like Minnesota searched through the couch cushions and found a little bit for him and kept him there. And that really talks to this whole changing face of college football with the NIL and money that you're able to give to kids. How has Minnesota done in bringing its NIL program up so they can be competitive more than maybe just for one or two guys a year?
I think the NIL's been good. I think it's been, a lot of work to get it to kind of grow in those first couple of years. I think the game changer this year, Steve, is the TV revenue sharing. And I always remind people the university budget has always had that TV revenue. Well, this is the first year starting July 1st that the NCAA has given you the opportunity to spend $20.5 million paying athletes directly from the university. And so what the university has done to balance that budget is they've made some cuts. They've actually put in a fee to the student body. And so they've kept their budget whole. But in doing that, they're going to spend a lot of money on the student athletes. And I think a lot of that goes to football. And because you got to remember at schools like in the Big Ten, right, you got to choose between football, men's basketball, women's basketball here at the university, hockey. And so you got to make some choices. And I think we've made the decision that what really rows the university's boat is football. And I think it can be a driver of success, drives admissions. And so they've put the success of the football program as being the number one priority in that revenue sharing. So along with NIL, you can start to keep players like a Drake Lindsay, like a Coy Parrish, like a Darius Taylor. And those guys are getting paid, close to $1 million. But the money's there. It's a very different time than what I remember in the 90s.
Yes.
I maybe I missed out on it, but it's just the way it is right now. Would I want to coach in it? I think it'd be pretty challenging. But the good news is they're competitive. And I think the portal, more than anything, I think they've won the portal more so than they've lost.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, it all starts tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Huntington Bank Stadium against Buffalo. The Gophers open with a pair of home games against Buffalo and Northwestern State before the road opener at the Cal Golden Bears. Justin, thanks a lot for the time. Thanks for being with us on the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good night.
Take care. You too. And that'll do it for us. Let's get going. The games start tomorrow night, and we can't wait. Thanks for joining me here tonight on the Dr. Pepper College Football Preview Show. Have a great night, everybody.